To celebrate Frugal January, I thought I would make a video about my most affordable perfumes that I also consider to be the best value. So my measurement for this is stuff that I think smells really good, but also performs really well and is quite strong, long lasting. Obviously this is on my skin, so this might not be the same for everyone. But these are perfumes that I just think are exceptionally good value for the price, which in the UK, all of these you can get for under £30. So they're all super affordable, really fun. You will notice most of these are not new perfumes because I rarely come across new perfumes that are kind of good value in terms of lasting power. Even if I love them, they tend to be a little bit light, a little bit fleeting, which is more the fashion. But back in the 90s and the 80s, some of these, and the early 2000s, perfumes were much stronger, I think. So these are things that hopefully, I mean, if you've been watching me for a while, you'll have seen some of these before, you'll know them from my collection. If you're new here, I hope that these are some perfumes that you haven't heard talked about too much. So let's get into it now. Let's start with Lanvin Oxygene. Now this is a perfume that I just think is such good value. This is a 75ml bottle and it cost me around £20. You can get this in the UK for around about that. It comes in this really, really cool bottle. It looks really beautiful in my perfume collection. And this is a perfume that it's unusual. It's one of the early aquatics, but it is, I would say, a very creamy, musky, very sweet perfume that almost has this strange gourmand element because it's iris, it's musk, it's pepper, but it also has a milk note in it. So it has a thickness to it, which means that I much prefer this one in colder weather. But I just think that this is a beautiful spa-like, really comforting, clean smelling, beautiful perfume that you could argue is slightly unisex, but it is quite sweet to me. A musky, beautiful, stunning perfume. So that is Lanvin Oxygene for women. Sticking with the musky perfumes, we have this absolute beauty. This is Cacharel Noa, and this is a perfume that I've seen a few people talking about this one. It comes in this fantastic bottle. It has a little pearl in it. It's got a pearlescent top. It's just round and beautiful. I always loved this bottle. This is a perfume from I think it's the late 90s. Noa came out, and this is it has the feel of something that you would call a skin scent, but it isn't really a skin scent. It's actually quite strong. It lasts for a really long time. There's musk in the top notes here. So there's flowers. There's a very creamy bar soap style musk. In fact, I kind of feel like Noa smells a little bit like a coffee hinted or a hint of coffee bar soap, if that makes sense. So, like I said, it has coffee, it's got smoky notes, it's got green notes, it's got every note under the sun in this perfume. However, I think that when it dries down, because at first it can be a bit challenging, but when it dries down, it's one of the most beautiful, kind of clean smelling soapy musks that I've ever smelled. So Noa by Cacharel is just an absolute winner in terms of quality versus price. So unlike the last two, this next one is one that I like in hot weather. So this is Still by Jennifer Lopez. Now, this is a beautiful tea perfume. It has so many wonderful qualities about this. I know not everyone loves Still, but I think it smells very chic. It smells really grown up. It's one that I like to wear in hot weather to work when I have quite official things that I need to do, meetings and such. It comes in this glorious bottle, which is not really showing itself to its greatest. Here we go. So Still. It is absolutely a beautiful jasmine tea perfume. And I think Still really smells like jasmine tea. It smells like literal jasmine tea to me. There's definitely a green apple note and a slight kind of warmth from some pepper, but it is very much jasmine and apple and a beautiful, I think it's a black tea note, or it's Earl Grey tea specifically. And this, again, you can get 100 ml of this in the UK for a really good price, and I think it's just such a magnificent perfume. It also happens to be probably my husband's favourite perfume out of any of my collection. So yeah, Still by Jennifer Lopez, absolute winner. Next up, we have one that, I actually smelt this on someone recently, and I was absolutely sure that she was wearing Anais Premier Delice. So when I was young, everyone wore Anais. I wasn't that keen on that. It's a bit too floral a perfume for me. But Premier Delice is a version of Anais that is pear and cacao. Now, there are still quite a few florals in this. This is a strong perfume. You don't need to wear much. It leaves a really beautiful scent trail. But it is quite floral. So this is hyacinth and peony, and there is a slight greenness in there, but it smells to me very much like tinned pears, which I love, with a sprinkle of cacao and then a bunch of very pretty florals. It has the kind of florals in that I always think is smelling a little bit white winey, but because it has that sweetness from the pear, it's not kind of unbearable in terms of how floral this is. And it just, I don't need to wear much. I don't really need to reapply it. It is really a very good value perfume. So that's Anais Premier Delice. This next one is a perfume that gets a lot of love, but also gets a lot of hate. And when I first tested it, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to wear it, but I had the EDP, and this is Cabotine de Gres, and this is the EDP, and I actually prefer this EDP, but I do think for some people it would still be very challenging, because this is an absolute aldehyde bomb. It is also a floral bomb. However, it is a beautifully sweetened jasmine and ginger lily and ever so slightly tuberosy aldehydic spring floral. It also has a little bit of, I guess, what you could call an indolic tone to it, a kind of slightly animalic feel that you get with a lot of white florals. But it's got such a magical feel about it, and I think I find it less difficult to wear personally in very cold weather, because it is so strong and you really don't need much and it lasts forever. But the EDP, I find it has a slightly stronger and more syrupy blackcurrant note in it, and that for me is where Cabotine really started to shine, because that beautiful blackcurrant mixed with this really soapy, fizzy almost aldehydic note, and then the most glorious spring bouquet of kind of, well, all the flowers you can think of that start blossoming in early spring. It's so pretty that I highly recommend this as one to wear in the winter when it's cold, because it really cheers me up. In fact, I think I need to break this out quite soon, especially if we have a really cold February coming up. So that's Cabotine de Gres, and I personally prefer, although I like them both, I prefer the EDP. So this is the EDP. Sticking with some indolic florals, the next one up is one that is a very strong floral, but I like to wear this one in summer or in spring. So this is Lust from Lush. Now, I think this is £25 for a 30ml in the UK, and it's much more expensive. It's about £50 to get the 100ml, but I wanted to include it because this is such a beastly perfume. You do not need to wear hardly any of this in order to get a really long-lasting, beautiful smell. And I also have the solid version of this perfume, and that one is £10, maybe 12 now, and that also is pretty impressive, but it's just not as strong. So this is a absolutely lustful, sexy, filthy jasmine perfume, and I'm not normally a fan of jasmine, but for some reason there's something about both Lust and Cabotine where I just like the way that jasmine is done here. And this one also has ylang ylang in it. So I feel like it just really brings something magical out in this perfume. Personally, I also get a little bit of a vibe of something almost tangerine or mandarin-y in here. And I do wonder if there's musk, but it's such a beautiful perfume. I get obsessed with this when it gets a bit warmer. I would say I do not enjoy this so much in cold weather. I feel like the colder it is, the more this gets really a little bit skanky. And I saw someone say that it smelled a bit like spit. In cold weather, I can kind of see that. But in warm weather, this smells like you're in a garden at midnight that's full of jasmine. Like that's literally what this smells like when you wear it in warm weather. So that's Lust from Lush, and I just think it's an absolutely magical perfume. Next up, we've got one that I've just got a little bottle of, but you can get this one. I think it's probably one of the most affordable Burberrys on the market. This is Burberry London for Her. And this is an eau de parfum that I was amazed by how strong it was, although I shouldn't be, because I think the old Burberrys are very strong perfumes. So as you can see, it has this rather silly fabric Burberry tartan all over it. But this perfume, the magic about this is that it's one of the very few perfumes I've ever come across that has a genuinely recognisable honeysuckle note. So sometimes I can smell there's honeysuckle in things, it's just that it's very rarely one of the top and most obvious notes. And for this one, this is a jasmine and honeysuckle perfume to me. There are probably loads of other florals, there's some fruits, but this is quite a sweet and strong floral. And the sweetness is what I think made this a bit more attractive to me, because firstly, I like honeysuckle to smell sweet. And secondly, I just don't really like sharp florals, especially not sharp white florals. And I think Burberry London is an exceptionally good value floral, and quite unusual because of that honeysuckle. And it's not like... it's not sickly the way that I think some perfumes can be when they try to bring out the honeysuckle. So, for instance, this is not too much like something like Juicy Couture, which is a perfume that I know a lot of those, and the flankers have lots of honeysuckle in, but I find them a little bit chemically, a little bit too sickly. This is a little bit more mature, a little bit more grown up, and frankly, I just think it smells a bit better. But yeah, so this I think is a really, really good value perfume, and that's Burberry London for women. Next up, we have another one that my husband's really fond of. He thinks this is delicious, and this is another old classic. This is Mambo for Women by Liz Claiborne. So you can see it's got this very, very long, thin bottle. It's orange, kind of ombreed into red, very dark at the bottom. And this is really for the people who love a bit of orange blossom. This perfume, it has also a lot of lovely fruit in it. I get a bit of a vibe for Libre from this, except this is softer, fruitier, sweeter, much easier to wear, but it definitely has a little bit of a feel of the Libre perfumes, even though this is older than the Libre perfumes. So Mambo is like ylang ylang and hibiscus. It's got lots of ginger in it. It's woody because it's got beautiful sandalwood. It's a little bit musky, so it also has that slight bar soapy feel to it. I think that's a trend with a lot of these perfumes I've picked, because that kind of bar soapy musk that you got in the 80s and 90s really makes a perfume last a long time. But this is fun, fruity. It's got a slightly tropical feel about it, and it smells fun and flirty while also not smelling childish at all. So I think Mambo is a really good bet. I got this one from Amazon for £20 and it is just beautiful. It lasts on me for ages and it's super pretty. So that's Mambo for Women by Liz Claiborne. My search for a Turkish Delice perfume brought me to this one. This is another absolute classic. I mean, I think this is actually from the 90s, but it almost looks like it's from the 80s with this amazing bottle. This is Tocade from Rochas. This is what I would call a rose, amber and vanilla perfume. And I think it is just absolutely scrumptious. It's so pretty. It definitely has a little bit of a vintage feel about it, and I think it's mainly because of that amber, because it really comes through in the base. But I think that Tocade, the magic really is in that kind of powdery, almost like a powdered sugar feel with the vanilla and the rose, and then a hint of lemon. It has like rose and geranium, I think, but it's ambery, it's vanillic, it's very floral, but it's like not sharp, and it's not screechy, and it's not indolic. It just does definitely smell a little bit vintage in terms of the amber. But I mean, this is one of those perfumes that I feel like if you put it in a bottle and put MFK on it, people would probably be going mad for it, because there is something very magical about Tocade. And this is one that I think is so incredible in cold weather. Like this one I wore quite recently and I just absolutely adored it. So that is Tocade from Rochas. This one is a great option for what to go next, because I do think of it as a sister of Tocade. This is Casmir from Chopard. And this is a ylang ylang amber vanilla perfume. That's kind of how I think about this one. It really, I feel, has quite a similar base to Tocade, in terms of it has like this kind of sandalwood and musk. It's got like a decent amount of vanilla, and it's got a really obvious slightly powdery amber. This also smells a bit vintage, but it also smells very fruity. So this has peach, it's got coconut, it's got mango, it's got a load of beautiful fruits in the top that gives this almost a jammy quality. And then there's I think it just says flowers, but it smells like ylang to me. And very famously, this smells quite a lot like Ylang in Gold from M. Micallef, which is a very, very expensive perfume. I prefer this one because I actually get more vanilla from this. I think that might be a aroma chemical issue. But I feel like this perfume is such good value. It's quite strong. It lasts a long time. It comes in this absolutely gorgeous little bottle. I love these bottles. This tiny little 30ml cost me about £12. But if you spend about 20, you can easily get the 100ml bottle of this. And I just think it's a beautiful perfume. And how cute is this bottle? Come on. So that's Casmir from Chopard. This perfume comes in a different bottle nowadays, but this is Elizabeth Arden, and this is Untold Absolute. So I absolutely love these old bottles. They're this really interesting shape. You can see it says the name along here. And it's what I consider to be a kind of sexy but grown-up semi-gourmand perfume. So this one, again, has a decent amount of vanilla, and then it's got benzoin, so it's almost got this warm, spicy feel. There's ginger in it as well, helping with the warm, spicy feel. But there's a plum, and there's quite a lot of cashmere wood. There is jasmine and narcissus in here, so you're getting like a lovely floral scent too. But yeah, there's something almost ever so slightly white chocolatey about the vanilla in this particular perfume. It's got this gorgeous dark liquid. This is something that is very much a cold weather perfume for me again, because it's quite strong and it's quite perfumey. So like I said, it has like a gourmand touch, but it's still very perfumey. But I think this one is really good for special occasions, or for like meetings or like parties, especially work parties, because there's something kind of glamorous but mature about this, and I think it's really gorgeous. It's got such a beautiful kind of perfumey but not screechy and not too sharp and not too sweet balance to it. So yeah, that one it now comes in a very plain bottle, sadly, but you can still find these happily, these beautiful bottles, if you look for them on the second-hand market. So that is Elizabeth Arden Untold Absolute. So last but not least is the perfume I'm wearing today, and the perfume that inspired this video. So this is Cerruti 1881. Now, Cerruti 1881 is a perfume that I got relatively early on into my YouTube life. This I used to have a much bigger bottle of because I had a tester bottle when I first got this, but I love the way the bottles look so much I wanted to put it in my display. So this is a 30 ml version of the bottle that I had. I have had this in my bag, so it's got a little bit scratched up, but it's a gorgeous little bottle. You can get a 100 ml bottle of this for a really good price, and it is a beast. This is a perfume you do not need to spray much of, and it lasts for, well, all day. I don't need to reapply this perfume. On me, Cerruti 1881 is a musky, sweet, cozy, comforting, again, slightly floral bar soap style perfume. It really, I mean, I think what really glows to me in this is the chamomile note. There's mimosa, there's iris, there's narcissus, there's galbanum, there's so many florals in here. There's a little bit of coriander, there's palisander rosewood, but I think for me, I get the musk and the sandalwood. I get a lot of chamomile on top of like just a bunch of other lovely florals. And then I get this hint, beautiful hint of vanilla when it dries down. It gets this it's just so beautifully sweet and cozy. This is, I've heard someone describe it as like a mumsy scent, and I totally know what they mean, because this does have like a comforting, slightly powdery quality to it. In fact, it really is quite powdery. I think the iris, the sandalwood, and the palisander, the Brazilian, rosewood, is probably why this has that feel about it. But I do think this is a beautiful perfume, and I've really enjoyed wearing it today, as I did when I first got this. So I think this is such a good value perfume, and I think all of these are really good value. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that there are some perfumes here that you might not have tried and you might be interested in. These are all in the UK, super affordable. I hope that some of them are also affordable outside of the UK, but I think that these are some of the best value perfumes that I have in terms of longevity, strength, and price.